Hi there guys, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Show with me, your host Simon Conboy. Today's episode, I'm going to be previewing tomorrow's Thursday night football matchup between the Patriots and the Buccaneers. Of course, going to be a big test for the Buccaneers, playing the defending Super Bowl champs. I'm of course looking massively forward to this one. So as always, I'm going to go through what I believe to be the key matchups, how I feel both teams are going to approach this game, and how I think the game is going to go overall. So we'll start with the Patriots offense and the matchup against the Bucs defense. This looks like it's got the potential to be real tough sledding for the Buccaneers defense. It looks like both Quan Alexander and Lavonte David are once again going to miss this game. Leaves the team pretty soft in the middle. Now, there's a possibility Gronkowski doesn't play. I don't think that will end up being the case. But if those two are both missing, that's a huge issue for the Bucs. They're both very good coverage players. Quan Alexander in particular. They had a lot of range to this team, and they've got a level of experience that the Buccaneers do not have the ability to replace. It's a very inexperienced group of backups that they've got. Kendall Beckwith's played well in his duties so far as a rookie. He's been really impressive, but it's a big issue for the Bucs. The Patriots like to attack the middle of the field in the passing game, especially when Gronk's there. They were going to have problems matching up with him anyway, as most teams do, even with everybody there. You've also got TJ Ward missing, or likely to be missing in this one, and that's just another player who could have helped contribute to battling Gronkowski, and it's another one of the experienced players on this Bucs team that looks like he's set to miss out. So I think if Gronk does play, that bodes really well for him, and he is of course still, even with Brandon Cooks having got off to a reasonably good start in New England, the biggest threat that the Patriots have to offer in terms of the receiving game. I also think it will open things up underneath for Chris Hogan and these running backs. And the Buccaneers have played very soft defensively. The safeties have been playing pretty far back. They've been pretty much refusing to give up the big play, which totally did not work against Minnesota. But other than that, they've done an okay job forcing teams to go down the field slowly and tightening up for the most part when it counts. However, this Patriots team is very, very efficient, so it's going to be a heck of a tough matchup stopping those guys. I feel the Patriots will be able to get quite a lot going in that regard. The one thing that the Bucs do have going for them defensively is the defensive line has been doing a pretty good job of getting pressure. It's not being converted into sacks, and I think the edge rush has been lacking. But Gerald McCoy's had a really good start to the season, even if the sacks aren't there. And Chris Baker has only played twice, but the games when those two have been together, the teams look really good against the run in both of those performances. They've got a decent amount of pressure. Noah Spence needs to really step up. He's got to be this team's star edge rusher. Discussed this many times before. William Golston is definitely not that guy. He's an edge setter, and Robert Ayers plays the run better than the pass also. Those two have to step up. All those three, that group of defensive ends, need to step up. Brady, if you give him time, especially considering the state of the Buccaneers secondary and linebacking crew heading into this one, is going to absolutely gut this team unless the pressure is consistent and constant. And the Patriots offensive line has not done a great job thus far, particularly the tackles. Marcus Cannon, I don't know what's happened to him this year, but he's playing very poorly, and they're not getting much better play over on the left hand side. So there's certainly the potential there for those positions to be exploited, and the Bucs need to have success doing it. They should not, and I expect them not to blitz basically at all in this game. We saw very little of that against the Giants. I think with Vontae and Quan in the game, maybe they consider it. Without them, I think we're just going to see a four-man front all night rushing Tom Brady, and they're going to have to get there. Gerald McCoy's going to have his success, generally will over the course of the game. He'll get his pressures, but he needs someone there to play clean up on the outside. Brady's pocket movement is very good. One guy generating pressure is probably not going to get there often enough to cause disruption. Brent Grimes, he's been exceptional. He'll be playing. That's a massive plus for the Buccaneers. It's amazing what a difference he makes to this secondary. I would expect, whilst the Bucs don't really like moving their corners around, they tend to keep them to a side. They're a very zone-oriented team. I think Grimes has to be the guy that covers Brandon Cooks. I know it's not going to be the case. I'm just going to suggest it anyway because I just feel like it's what you have to do. I thought he did a really good job on Odell Beckham. A few times he was targeted down the field last week. He's just an exceptionally experienced and talented player locating the ball, making plays on it. It's just hard to beat him over the top, and that's what Cooks is there for in that offense. Other than that, I mean, the other guys, you can see them all being picked on to some degree. Brady is going to spread the ball around and he's going to throw it to the guys that are open. Bucs safeties have a big test in this one. They're going to have to be very disciplined, particularly with Gronk. I don't know how the Bucs are planning to combat him. I'm sure whatever the plan is, it's probably not going to be enormously successful. I'm just not sure they've got the talent there. Might see a bit of the rookie Justin Evans. I think potentially he's a guy that Brady will look to exploit if he's on the field. So that's going to be a tough one. But Chris Conte, for example, Conte's a fairly smart player, but he just does not have the athleticism to keep up with Gronkowski, possibly Keith Tandy. I'm not so sure. And again, this Buccaneer linebacking crew is inexperienced. I like Beckwith a lot, but he's not massively athletic. It's going to be a huge problem dealing with Gronkowski. However, I do not expect the Patriots to have a huge amount of success running the ball. They've not been particularly effective in that regard over the course of this season. They don't have a huge amount of rushing talent there. James White's an exceptional receiver out the backfield, but he's not a dynamic runner between the tackles. Gillisley's got that role, but he's just a guy with a bit of power. He's not going to dominate a game. The offensive line has not been the best at opening up running lanes this year, and the Buccaneers defence, with all the guys intact on the front, I'm expecting them to be pretty effective and do a good job keeping the Patriots offense one-dimensional. Now, where the issue there is, can the Buccaneers stop that one dimension? I'm expecting the Patriots to come out, look to establish the run, use their barrage of running backs. Possibly, I wouldn't be shocked to see them give up on it pretty quickly. I think if they go with the tempo attack that they used against Kansas City, I think this Buccaneers defense could struggle with that. With some of the injuries, the linebacking group really lacking depth, and the corner group isn't the deepest. I think they could really look to take advantage of the inexperience and lack of talent at a lot of positions in the back seven that the Buccaneers have. As I say, the middle of the field, it's a giant target. I think it's where Brady generally likes throwing the ball the most, and I've got no doubt he's going to get plenty of opportunities to do it. I'm expecting to see a lot of James White in this game, a lot of Gronkowski. I think he's going to open things up even more for the guys underneath because he's likely going to be the focal point for the Buccaneers defensively. So you might see a lot of Chris Hogan and a lot of James White in this one. The Buccaneers are going to have to tackle really well. I think they'll do a reasonable job of keeping everything in front of them in this one, and I think they'll be able to get enough pressure. The key for them is going to have to be turning a couple of those pressures into big plays, whether that's a sack or even just a forced incompletion that forces a punt. It's going to be tough to get turnovers. Brady simply does not turn over the ball very often. And other than that Houston game, but you can't expect to get too much off of Brady in terms of that. So they're going to have to be solid fundamentally and just hope that they can make some plays somewhere down the line. I think defensively the Buccaneers, you see a lot of cover 4, a lot of cover 3 in this game, maybe mixing in the odd bit of man on the outside where I think they can possibly hold up. If you've got Grimes on Cooks, I think Hargraves can do enough of a job against whoever it may be, because the Patriots use a lot of different players on the outside. I expect to see Gronk being paid a lot of attention to. He is still the primary weapon. Just not sure who the two guys that are going to be paying attention to him are going to be over the course of this one. And yeah, they're just going to have to hope that this defensive line plays a really, really good game, and this secondary can just hold up. On the opposite side of the field, the matchup looks similarly like it's going to be a tough one. The Patriots defence has been an absolute mess this year, and frankly it's been hard to find anything that they've done particularly well. The pass rush has been bordering on non-existent. The linebacking group just looks very slow to me. There's not a lot of athleticism there, and there's a bunch of guys that are still, you'd have to think, learning this scheme at this point. Been issues with Stephon Gilmore fitting in. The Patriots play a lot more mixed coverages than he was used to with the Bills. The Bills, it was just line up and play man on just about every down. It seems to be struggling to get some of the communication and concepts down, and it's been exploited as a result. Malcolm Butler's not had a great start to the season either. Been a lot of pressure on the safeties, and I mean, frankly, it's just always going to be tough for any coverage group when the pass rush is as lacking as it's been. Whilst the Bucs don't have the sack numbers, they're at least putting some heat on the Patriots. Too many downs thus far this year where the quarterback's just got absolutely all day, and as a result they're picking these guys apart in the secondary. And as I still just really do not feel good about that linebacker group. And the even bigger surprise, because possibly expected this defense, I expected going in the pass rush was going to be a problem. Thought the secondary would play better, but I thought the run defense would be where they'd be able to hang their hat, and that hasn't been the case either. The play from the defensive tackles has dropped off massively from last season. Again, the linebackers just are looking slow, and because the secondary is struggling, I think it's difficult to bring an eighth man down into the box. So just problems across the board. There's a reason this defence is ranked last in the league right now, and you've got to be concerned when the Panthers, who've just been absolutely stuck in a rut the entire season, turn up at your stadium and all of a sudden have a massively productive game offensively. They made Cam Newton look like the Cam of 2 years ago, after looking very pedestrian for 3 weeks. It's massively concerning, and whilst I normally put all the faith in the world in Bill Belichick, I don't know if a 3-day turnaround is the time to, it is enough time to get this group playing to an acceptable level. So in that regard, the Buccaneers, I think they got the opportunity to put up a lot of points in this one. They get Doug Martin back, which is huge. Quiz Rogers filled in admirably, but he's just not an enormously dynamic runner with the football in his hands. He's kind of just a straight ahead guy who runs intelligently and fights for extra yards, but he's not going to break too many big ones. Doug Martin's not the fastest guy, but he's got a bit more power to him, a bit more elusiveness, just ability to get those runs past that first or second tackler and break them. And I think between having him, Jacquizz Rodgers, and maybe we'll see Charles Sims feature a bit more in this one, it's going to add a lot more, especially with a team that has struggled against the run. Expecting to see a heavy dose of these guys. I think the Buccaneers will not trust their defence to do a great job against Tom Brady. So if they can get the run game going, that's what they're going to do. They're going to look to do it, and if they can succeed with it, with a fresh Doug Martin, that could be a real boon to this team. In terms of Jameis Winston and this passing attack, you'd have to say things look really positive in this one. When Jameis is well protected, he looks incredibly difficult to stop, especially with the amount of guys he's got. Against the Giants at the weekend, he was very effective for the most part. There was a big lull in the game, and that's when the Giants were bringing heat, and I think there was some Buccaneers struggled to kind of deal with it initially, but later in the game, once things got rolling, he got caught fire again. And the way this Pats D is playing, you just can't see them handling the amount of guys the Bucs have to offer. Adam Humphries had a good game over the weekend. I think he'll be able to make a lot of plays against these backers in the middle of the field. Cameron Brate as well. I don't know if there's anyone that can necessarily hang with him. You'd like to, if you're the Patriots, put Devin McCourty on him, I think. But if you're doing that, you're leaving those two corners exposed. And with the way Gilmore's played thus far, I don't think I trust him against Mike Evans. But that's likely the matchup because he's the bigger physical corner. But I don't know if you want to leave him with Mike Evans one-on-one. Evans got off to a good start this season. He's played two very good corners in the last couple of weeks, and he's managed to have effective games. Maybe not dominated, but he's been efficient. Actually wasn't efficient at all against the Giants, but he's been making some plays. Deshaun Jackson, it's not quite there yet, but the Patriots have struggled against the deep ball, and at some point you have to think this connection with Jameis and Deshaun Jackson is going to start clicking. And again, Butler's not playing brilliantly either, so you can definitely see Deshaun Jackson is getting open deep in these games. It's just the passes haven't quite been there. So I think there's definitely an opportunity there for that connection to get going. OJ Howard, I think he'll once again feature more prominently as a blocker, but I think he can cause some mismatches in this one. We may even see some Chris Godwin. It just, the way the Patriots have been playing defensively, it's hard to imagine them having too much success. Jameis, when he's got time, it looks really sharp this year, and I don't think that's going to change. The one worry is, of course, with Jameis, there is always the potential that he tries to do too much and be a hero. That's possibly the biggest thing the Buccaneers have to worry about on the offensive side of the ball. Whilst the Patriots aren't playing well, in Butler and Gilmore and McCourty, they've got guys that can punish you. They are ball hawks. So Jameis just has to not take chances with those guys. I feel like the plays are going to be there, much like for Brady. I just feel like if he plays within himself, the guys around him are going to get open, and it'll just be a case of him connecting the dots. The run game is the key for the Bucs. I think they can be more balanced. I think they're certainly going to attempt to be. It's very clear. The Buccaneers want to establish the run in these games. The Buccaneers are fantastic off the play action. James is very, very good off it. He's got the weapons that can exploit it, and I think we'll see, much like we did against the Giants, I think we'll see a lot more of Jameis Winston going over the middle of the field, attacking guys with Cameron Brate and Adam Humphries. And it was effective at the weekend. I think it could be effective again on Thursday. So, the Patriots, how do they look to defend this? I mean, they have to find a way to get a pass rush. They may have to be a bit more blitz happy in this game. They've not been as multiple as they have been in previous years. I think that's partly because there's a lot of new personnel, particularly in the linebacking group. So the communication perhaps isn't as strong, as obviously a bit more difficult playing a multiple scheme in this situation. And I'm not sure that the talent base is necessarily there for them to be as versatile as they've been in the past and sort of customise their game plans as effectively as they have in the past. Stephon Gilmore's going to have a big game, but I think he's going to need some help with Mike Evans. So they're going to have to rely, one of these guys, Gilmore or Butler, is going to have to be able to hold up in one-on-one coverage against the two Buccaneers outside guys. The way things have been going thus far, I don't necessarily like the chance, but that's just going to have to be the way it is. If they play zone all day, I think Jameis Winston will just pick them apart. So they're going to have to rely on the fact they've got those talented corners. McCourty's going to have a big game. He's going to have to play intelligently, giving help to guys where it's needed. He's going to have to be all over the field, I think. These tight ends have got the ability to make so many plays in coverage. I'm not sure. If the Bucs come out in a two tight end set with the personnel the Patriots have at linebacker, they can really come up with much to defend both of them at the same time, especially when you're looking at the two guys on the outside. So that would be my worry. So I think they're going to have to bring the blitz quite often in this one, get Jameis Winston under pressure and hope to force him into making some errors, because I feel like if they play this Buccaneers team straight up, there's going to be a lot of points in this one. And it's not like with Brady where the opposite situation is you don't blitz Brady because he will recognise it and he will gut you. Jameis is not at that level in terms of playing against the blitz. He's not bad against it, but there's the possibility you can get him to implode on a couple of plays, and I think that's what the Patriots have to try and make happen. They're going to have to be better against the run, especially with a potentially fresh Doug Martin. He looked very good in pre-season. It could be huge. So in terms of how I think this one goes, I have the Buccaneers winning this one. I trust their defence to make a couple of plays in this one. I see it being a very high-scoring game, but this Pats D is so poor at the moment, especially on a short week, where I'm not sure how much you can necessarily try and do to get that turned around. I don't think that helps. I think the Buccaneers have to be coming out in this one fired up. They've got a division that looks like it's going to be very difficult this season, with the Falcons, Panthers and Saints all with reasonable records at this point, playing the defending champs in their house. It's a real statement game. It's been circled by the Buccaneers, you'd think, since the schedule was announced, particularly with the national stage. So it just feels like they need it more, and they're coming off a solid offensive performance. If it was a bit iffy defensively, I just think they came into this game feeling better about themselves, needing to win more. As much as Angry Brady is likely going to be a thing, and Angry Brady is one of the most terrifying players the league's ever seen, I'm just not sure he's got the guys around him to win this one, especially if there's a slightly banged up Rob Gronkowski running around out there. I just think the Bucs have the more balanced offense. They've got the higher caliber of weapons, and I just think defensively they're not an absolute disaster zone right now. So I have to take them at home on a short week in this situation, which feels really strange to do, but that's what I'm doing. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on this game. As mentioned earlier, really looking forward to this one. Really hoping the Bucs can pull this one out. If you've enjoyed this, or you got anything to say, let us know. We've got the comment section below, the Cover Zero Facebook page. You can find me on Twitter at Simon Conboy. Always happy to talk football. There's plenty of other stuff up on the channel. Going to get some game reviews done. I've been a bit slow of them. Trying to bring a bit more X's and O's into it this week, so I've been taking my time with it, but got a couple of days off work the next 2 days, so for this game, going to be able to get some of those done. I'm hoping they're going to be a lot more engaging in terms of the strategy and the big plays in the game, why they happened. So I'm hoping you check those out. I'm hoping that you really enjoy them. There's also the live episodes that we're doing every week, so we've got me talking about the Bucs, Arnie talking about the Titans, and as well as the live stream every week for the roundtable episode, our main show where we cover every single game that's happened and is happening over the course of that week, as well as some of the big injuries and news. So yeah, if you can like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon, all that good stuff, greatly appreciated. Been a pleasure as always, guys. Really do appreciate people checking out the show. Have a great evening, and go Bucs.